right. Well, thank you, everybody. As Kevin said, I'm the last person to round out this section here. CISMA resource sharing with information amongst the CISMAs. First off, I want to share this little edited comic that I'd put together. I'd posted it on some of the social media pages as a kind of a fun little Friday tidbit, but really I think that this picture shows a lot here. And really, I think as CISMA coordinators, we all have a lot going on in our heads. And with all of that, there's a lot of information. Every little scribble in this thought bubble has just loads of information tied with it. And so through sharing information, I think it can help us kind of make sense of maybe what we're thinking sometimes. So really, as a coordinator, we wear a lot of hats. And with a lot of hats comes a lot of necessary information for each one of those hats. And sharing information amongst CISMAs can really help with that. So really getting to know your neighbor, I think, is extremely beneficial, and sharing these things with them is just absolutely essential sometimes. Some of these coordinators might have been in this position longer. They might know how to wear that hat a little better. Some of them might have tricks for juggling all these hats. I know during this MISC meeting, we've been given just loads of incredible information, a lot of it with trying to figure out how to juggle some of these hats a little better. And of course, with more heads, more hats are easier to balance. So what does information sharing look like? Really, this is, I feel like there's no bounds to this. It could be projects, species, alerts, resources, skills, ideas, brainstorming, photos, and it goes on and on and on. But really, I think that the sharing information just really doesn't know any limits here. So me, myself, with the GiLLs CISMA, I have Genesee, Lapeer, Livingston, and Shiawassee counties. I work very closely with the other counties in my region, and there are a lot of benefits from this. You share a lot of geography. We aren't confined to the borders of our counties. There are rivers and large chunks of property that traverse a lot of these different areas, and so really we have to work with the other CISMAs around us. Beyond that, there's a lot of partner groups or organizations that also span different counties. A lot of us share the same problems. You know, the plants that are in my CISMA are very likely to be in the CISMAs around me or will be soon. Oftentimes we share a lot of resources, and of course, meeting in our smaller regional meetings, they tend to be more focused. Large meetings are great and bringing a lot of great ideas together, but when you are in smaller groups that are, the meetings are held more consistently, I feel like there's just an incredible spread of information. And of course, the people who are around you tend to have more information on species, photos of these species that you might need. Some of the collaborations that we've worked with specifically in this area, of course, the regional meetings, they're more relaxed and focused. Shared social media. Not all of us have time to be glued to the species alerts that are coming out, and so if somebody nearby you jumps on it and posts it, it's great. They've already got a post put together and you can just go ahead and share it. I know Shika's done amazing things with the DEI stuff. Not long ago, she'd put together some posts where the message was translated into different languages. It was a great idea. We shared it on a lot of the other social media in our region. When I first started out in my position, as with all of us, we're taking on a lot of information, and it was early on that there was a sort of Japanese stiltgrass flowering rush workshop south of me that we had all met up on and went to, and it was amazingly beneficial for me. I had not seen either of these species before, especially with Japanese stiltgrass. It's already very problematic and kind of difficult to ID, so it was really nice having an opportunity to just actually pick it up and look at it firsthand and get some photos. And then afterwards, I think it was that same day, Erica took me to a place with European frogbit and showed it to me. And again, you can look at all the pictures and read stuff online, but until you actually see it and hold it in your hand, it's a different story. And then recently, well, last year now, not this year, we had worked together on two big events, the Invasive Species Summit that we held in 2021, and then our Invasive Species Professional Development Workshop, which I'll go over the summit a little bit more. So I know we're crunched on time here, But with the 2021 Invasive Species Summit, it was an amazing success. It took lots of planning. We had over 570 people registered. The Facebook event was seen by over 100,000 people. It was 2.5 hours long on a Saturday morning, and it was well received, a lot of positive feedback. One of the benefits for doing this together was the Q&A responses, because I've had a few different presentations, different webinars that I presented myself, and we are only one person, and everybody working together in the Q&A to get these responses is still very impressive to me. And of course, another added benefit to this is shared advertisement of not only the other CISMAs and the introductions of who we are, so people can put a face with these names, but in the agenda that we had sent out, we also had links to different events that we had coming up, different resources. Overall, I think it was amazingly beneficial. So we learned that we are definitely going to do this again. We have already started planning for the Invasive Species Summit for this year. We learned from our follow-up last year that people do prefer in-person events by far, and we've talked about how we could maybe do an in-person and virtual. We still have to work some of this stuff out. Overall, I think we produced a better product. We had a much wider reach. There was less individual effort per person, I would say, a lot less stress when we're all in it together. And of course, it was a lot more fun doing it all together. So I think that, putting the C in the CISMA is really important here when it comes to information sharing. Use all the tools that you have. Like I said, get to know your neighbor. It's hard to know what you don't know. In these conversations with other CISMA coordinators, I've learned that there are a lot of things I didn't even know the question I needed to ask in order to get that answer. So a lot of this stuff is amazing. And then, of course, information sharing leads to the sharing of knowledge, which eventually becomes wisdom. And I think that that is incredibly important. And as Phyllis said yesterday, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to make it roll better. And I think that's a huge thing. Information sharing, it helps give everybody the sets of wheels that we need. And then ultimately, hopefully, we can all roll better through our jobs and our accomplishments. So here's a fun little photo. It's probably pretty obvious to a lot of people, but we have a lot of data. Data leads to information, leads to knowledge. Then using insight, we come to wisdom. And I think that a lot of us being stuck kind of in that bubble with all these things bumbling around, we've been given a lot of data, a lot of information. We have a ton of knowledge, each one of us, and all of us has something different than the people around us. So by sharing all of this, we can connect those dots, light them up, and then ultimately we all are given a better form of wisdom in the end. And so with that, I say thank you. And also I want to give a shout out to Drew Rayner. Last year when we did trivia, he was the one on the back end crunching all of the numbers in Excel, and I did not know how to do that. And so again, a great example of relaying information. I reached out to Drew. He responded, sent me step-by-step instructions on how to do it. I played around with it, figured it out, and now I'm able to do that myself. And so I am very grateful for that. And so